Welcome to this discussion about using sodium bicarbonate in team sports and combat disciplines. We will explore whether sprinters, rowers, fighters, and players are actually using baking soda to gain an edge, or if it remains an underused tool. This presentation is part of our evidence-based performance series, so our goal is to separate hype from reality while keeping the content engaging and useful for your training decisions. Although sodium bicarbonate is inexpensive and widely available, you rarely hear about it outside of laboratory research. Companies market it as an ergogenic aid for high-intensity sport, yet many athletes either ignore it or view it as a relic of the past. In this section, we will ask why this may be the case and set the stage for examining whether real athletes take advantage of this buffer or dismiss it as a myth. People are divided on sodium bicarbonate. Some say it is nothing more than locker room lore, an old wives' tale passed around by coaches and gym buddies. Others argue it is a proven buffer that delays fatigue during intense sprints and repeated bursts. Rather than taking sides prematurely, we will look at the science and weigh the evidence before deciding where the truth lies. Research supports the buffering mechanism of sodium bicarbonate and suggests it can provide modest performance benefits. However, there is a catch. Many athletes experience nausea, bloating, or diarrhea after taking it. These side effects discourage widespread use even if the supplement might help. Balancing the potential benefits against the very real drawbacks is critical before adopting bicarbonate into your routine. You will learn how to manage these trade-offs as we proceed. During all-out efforts, the body relies heavily on anaerobic glycolysis, which produces hydrogen ions. As these protons accumulate, muscle pH can fall from roughly 7.1 at rest to about 6.5 during maximal bursts. The increased acidity interferes with calcium binding and key enzymes, leading to fatigue and loss of power. Understanding this acid buildup is the first step toward appreciating why buffering might help you sustain high-intensity efforts. Your blood naturally contains bicarbonate, a molecule that binds free hydrogen ions and forms carbonic acid. This compound quickly breaks down into water and carbon dioxide, allowing you to breathe out excess carbon dioxide and maintain blood. pH. By supplementing with sodium bicarbonate, you raise your bicarbonate reserve and enhance this extracellular buffer. A stronger buffer helps maintain pH during hard efforts, creating conditions for sustained power output. When you ingest sodium bicarbonate, your circulating bicarbonate concentration increases, and blood pH rises slightly. A higher blood pH creates a steeper gradient for hydrogen ions to move out of the muscle and into the blood, where they are buffered and removed. This improved clearance delays the onset of acidosis, which can support continued power output in the face of fatigue. The rise in bicarbonate and pH is central to claims about performance enhancement. Studies show that sodium bicarbonate may improve time trial performance or total work by roughly 1 to 3%. These benefits are concentrated in events where acid buildup significantly limits performance, such as middle distance races, repeated sprint protocols, and certain combat sports. While it is not a magic bullet, in competitive sport a 1% gain can be the difference between winning and losing. Keep expectations realistic and remember that training and other factors still matter more. Team sports like football, basketball, hockey, and rugby require repeated sprints, cuts, and transitions with little time to recover. Late in the game, fatigue often results from hydrogen ion accumulation and metabolic acidosis rather than a lack of fuel. By enhancing buffering capacity, you may preserve speed and power across repeated bursts, helping you maintain performance when it counts. This is why many coaches are curious about bicarbonate for team athletes. Sports such as basketball, football, ice hockey, and rugby demand intense efforts every few seconds. Defensive transitions, breakaways, and rapid changes of direction push pH down and lactate up. Maintaining output in the final minutes of a match can determine the outcome. When you understand how repeated bursts and short recovery periods tax your buffering systems, you can see why some athletes consider sodium bicarbonate as part of their preparation. Track events from 400 to 800 meters and cycling time trials between 1 and 4 kilometers rely heavily on anaerobic glycolysis. These durations produce significant acid loads, and research indicates that bicarbonate supplementation can enhance peak anaerobic power and total work in such events. Repeated sprint cycling protocols also show improvements in later bouts when acid accumulation becomes a limiting factor. These findings provide context for using sodium bicarbonate outside of continuous endurance sports. In cycling studies, athletes who took sodium bicarbonate around 60 to 90 minutes before exercise produced higher mean and peak power during repeated sprint and time trial efforts. Longer sprints of at least 1 minute appear to benefit more than very short bursts under 10 seconds. Since timing influences both buffering and digestive comfort, Riders need to experiment with ingestion windows to find a sweet spot that maximizes benefits while minimizing stomach upset. A standard 2,000-meter rowing race lasts around 6 to 7 minutes, and about 30% of the energy comes from anaerobic sources. This creates significant acidosis, particularly in the second half of the race. Studies indicate that taking roughly 0.3 grams of sodium bicarbonate per kilogram of body mass 2 to 4 hours before racing can improve performance by around 1.4%. Rowers often feel the effect most in the closing stages when acid buildup is at its highest. In competitive rowing, differences of a few tenths of a percent can decide podium positions. Meta-analyses revealed that sodium bicarbonate provides a small but meaningful advantage for rowers. However, athletes must weigh these potential gains against the risk of gastrointestinal discomfort. For some, a tiny time improvement could justify the side effects. Others may decide that the extra stress is not worth it. Testing and training will help you make an informed decision. Combat sports such as boxing, wrestling, judo, and mixed martial arts consist of repeated explosive exchanges interspersed with brief recovery periods. Sodium bicarbonate may help maintain punching power, grappling strength, and striking speed across successive rounds by buffering acid. Evidence is still emerging though, and adoption is not universal. Fighters interested in this strategy should conduct their own trials and training rather than assume it will automatically enhance their performance. The yo-yo intermittent recovery test measures an athlete's ability to repeatedly run hard and recover quickly, making it a good proxy for team sport demands. In some studies, players who ingested about 0.4 grams of bicarbonate per kilogram of body mass, roughly 60 to 90 minutes before the test ran, about 23% further in level 2 test than when taking a placebo. Meta-analyses report around 16% improvement overall, suggesting meaningful benefits for team players with the right dose and timing. Evidence for repeated sprint and jump protocols is mixed. Sodium bicarbonate seems to improve main power in later sprints, but has little effect on the first sprint in a series. This pattern implies minimal benefit for very short efforts under 10 seconds, but potential advantages once acidosis accumulates over successive bursts. Results vary because of small sample sizes and differences in protocol design. Athletes should temper expectations and conduct their own experiments. Not every study shows clear benefits for skills or repeated sprintability in team sports. Some research designs lack statistical power or involve varied dosing and timing schemes, which can mask true effects. Individual differences in physiology further complicate matters. The practical takeaway is that you need to test sodium bicarbonate in training sessions relevant to your sport. Only then will you know whether it improves your specific performance tasks. The recommended single dose of sodium bicarbonate for athletic performance lies between roughly 0.2 and 0.3 grams per kilogram of body mass. Starting at the lower end, around 0.2 grams per kilogram, is wise, as it appears to be the minimum effective amount. Higher doses beyond 0.3 grams per kilogram seldom provide additional benefits and often increase gastrointestinal discomfort. Remember that bicarbonate works best as part of a comprehensive nutrition and training strategy rather than as a standalone magic powder. To calculate your dose, multiply your body weight in kilograms by the recommended grams per kilogram. For example, a 70 kilogram athlete using 0.2 grams per kilogram would take about 14 grams of sodium bicarbonate, whereas the same athlete using 0.3 grams per kilogram would take around 21 grams. Adjust these figures based on your own weight and tolerance. Always start low and increase gradually if you feel comfortable, and make sure to practice your dosing strategy in training rather than waiting until competition. Timing plays a huge role in whether sodium bicarbonate helps or hurts. Most athletes take it between 60 and 180 minutes before competition or intense training. Some people reach peak bicarbonate levels sooner, around 60 to 90 minutes, while others peak later, closer to 150 to 180 minutes. You will need to experiment with different timing strategies during practice to find what works best for your body. Avoid trying a new timing protocol on the day of an important match. One way to reduce stomach stress is to divide your total dose into smaller servings consumed over 30 to 60 minutes rather than chugging it all at once. Another approach is to use enteric-coated capsules or gastro-resistant tablets, which delay release until the intestine and may improve comfort. Taking sodium bicarbonate with a carbohydrate-rich meal can also ease digestive upset. These strategies help you benefit from buffering while minimizing unpleasant side effects. Common side effects of sodium bicarbonate include nausea, bloating, diarrhea, stomach cramps, and belching. The risk of these symptoms increases with higher doses or poor timing and can cancel out any performance gains. Because sodium bicarbonate adds sodium to your diet, athletes in weight classified sports or those with high blood pressure need to be especially cautious. Listening to your body and adjusting dose and timing accordingly is vital for safe use. If you have high blood pressure, kidney or heart disease, or you're on a sodium restricted diet, consult a healthcare professional before trying sodium bicarbonate. Athletes who must make weight should consider the water retention and extra sodium load associated with baking soda. Never test bicarbonate for the first time on competition day. Instead, experiment during off-season or practice sessions to ensure that you tolerate it well. There are practical barriers to using sodium bicarbonate. Mixing and consuming more than 20 grams of baking soda can be unpleasant and may cause gagging. Individual responses vary widely, and you will not know how your body reacts until you try it. Remember that sodium bicarbonate will not improve your skill, reaction time, or tactical intelligence. Its only function is buffering acid, so do not expect it to make up for a lack of training or technique. A sensible approach to using sodium bicarbonate involves 3 steps. First, start at roughly 0.2 grams per kilogram of body mass and monitor your gastrointestinal response. Only increase your dose if you tolerate it well. Second, experiment with different timing windows such as 90, 120, and 180 minutes before your event to identify when your blood bicarbonate peaks relative to your competition. Third, consider splitting your dose using capsules and pairing it with a carbohydrate-rich meal to improve tolerance. Through practice, you can refine this protocol to suit your individual needs. Sodium bicarbonate offers the most benefit for athletes engaged in high-intensity efforts lasting between 30 seconds and about 10 minutes. This includes sprinters and cyclists competing in short races, rowers racing 2,000 meters or performing interval training, and combat athletes or team players who need to produce repeated bursts of high output. If your sport or event falls within this window and acid buildup limits performance, bicarbonate might be worth testing. Bicarbonate is less useful for long steady-state cardio or low-intensity endurance activities where acid accumulation is minimal. It also provides little advantage in sports that depend more on skill and technique than on buffering capacity, such as precision shooting or gymnastics. Similarly, it does not enhance pure maximal strength tests like a 1 repetition maximum lift. Recognizing when bicarbonate is unlikely to help can save you unnecessary hassle and discomfort. The evidence suggests that sodium bicarbonate is a legitimate ergogenic aid for repeated high-intensity output. It delivers small but meaningful performance gains in sprinting, cycling, rowing, combat sports, and team sports scenarios that involve repeated bursts. However, it does not affect skill or endurance by itself. Its value lies solely in buffering acidosis. Athletes should view it as an optional tool rather than a replacement for training fundamentals. There is no one-size-fits-all approach to sodium bicarbonate. You must individualize your dose and timing based on how your body responds and how your stomach tolerates the supplement. More is not always better. The best dose is the one you can handle without significant side effects. Use practice sessions to refine your strategy well before an important competition. Doing so will increase your chances of benefiting from bicarbonate without sabotaging your performance. Bicarbonate can boost performance when acid buildup limits your output, but it is not a general energy booster. Team sport athletes and others who rely on repeated bursts can leverage it if they manage their dose and stomach tolerance carefully. Plan, test, and adapt your protocol to turn this cheap powder into a competitive edge. With thoughtful application, sodium bicarbonate can complement your training and nutrition plan and help you perform your best when it matters.